Hi, my name is Paul Knudsen. I'm the managing attorney of the Family Law Division here at Denman Perlman. I'm here today to explain why you might think about entering into a prenuptial agreement. A prenuptial agreement is essentially a contract between yourself and your future spouse that lays out how you're going to deal with assets, liabilities, and alimony in the case of a divorce. The first reason you should consider entering into a prenuptial agreement is because it could save you tons and tons of money in the long haul. Now, as we all know, divorces cost a lot of money to litigate. Litigation is the trial aspect of a divorce. It's filing motions, it's going to hearings, it's arguing over this point and that point. Well, if you have a prenuptial agreement that lays out exactly how you're dealing with all those points, there's really nothing to argue about any longer. So it can save you a lot of money in the long haul, tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you're willing to do the work and make the expense up front. The second reason you should think about entering into a prenuptial agreement is that you can agree on how you're going to treat alimony in the case of a divorce. Now, alimony is one of the most contentious issues in any divorce proceeding, and there's very little guidelines provided by the state of Florida. The state of Florida has provided that 0 to 7 years is a short-term marriage, 7 to 17 years is a moderate-term marriage, and 17 plus is a long-term marriage. Now that brings into account each of those different types of alimony that you could be awarded, but it doesn't provide the duration and it doesn't provide the amount on a monthly basis. So this is a highly contested issue which costs a lot of money. Now you could, before even getting married, figure out how you guys want to treat alimony if it does come to a divorce. And that could save you tons of time, tons of money, tons of heartache, and tons of time in court. A third reason to consider entering into a prenuptial agreement is if you have a family-owned or a personal-owned business. Now, these are premarital assets, the business. However, as soon as you start earning money during the marriage, the money you earn during the marriage is considered marital. That money, if you're not taking it out and putting in your own bank account, even if it remains in the business and it's considered reinvested into the business, that creates part of that business as a marital entity. If you want to protect from this, you can enter into a prenuptial agreement, which states that no part of the business and any of the funds and assets received from the business are going to remain non-marital. This is one of the main driving factors for a lot of people in why they enter into prenuptial agreements. The fourth reason to consider entering into a prenuptial agreement is to protect inheritance. Now, inheritance by its very nature is considered non-marital. With that said, parties often make the mistake of commingling their inheritance, whether it be in a bank account or purchasing some marital funds with the inheritance that then creates it into a marital asset. Now, you can set out in your prenuptial agreement that that's not going to happen, and that even if it does happen, that's still your sole property. It's a great way of protecting inheritance, and anybody that has a large sum of money coming from family should really, really spend the time thinking about entering into a prenuptial agreement to protect their inheritance. The fifth reason to consider entering into a prenuptial agreement is for estate planning purposes. Now, in Florida, as everyone knows, you can enter into wills and trusts, but the only way to what's called disinherit a spouse is through a prenuptial agreement. Florida has elective share laws, which means that even if you write in your will that your wife or your husband is to receive nothing from your estate, they still have the ability to get after part of the homestead as well as a 30% share of the overall estate. The only way to get around that law is through the agreement of a prenuptial or a postnuptial agreement. So if you have a large estate and you're later on in life and you want to protect maybe children from a prior marriage, you need to really consider entering into a prenuptial agreement. The sixth reason to consider entering into a prenuptial agreement is to determine at the outset of the marriage how your finances are going to work. Who's going to pay what bills? How are you going to pay maybe some premarital debt, some premarital liabilities? Are you guys going to have a joint bank account and all of your bills are going to be paid out of those? It's really important for people to have these conversations, and oftentimes people wait till it's too late and pretty far into the marriage, and then they're a great point of contention that sometimes lead to the dissolution of the marriage. So if you have this conversation from the outset, you lay out exactly how you're going to do it, you can wrap it all into a prenup and have very clear guidance on how you expect to treat the marital bank accounts. The seventh reason to consider entering into a prenuptial agreement is to make sure that both parties are marrying for the right reason. When you have a party that has a big sum of money in their bank account or makes a lot of money and the other party might not, well, we need to make sure that they're marrying for love and not money. And a prenuptial agreement is a great way of doing that. You know, it'll show you exactly what the person's motivation is behind the marriage. And it's very important for somebody in the position of having a lot of money and going into a marriage with a lot of money to protect themselves and their future generations. If you have any questions about prenuptial agreements or want to call us for pricing and discuss possibly setting up a consultation for prenuptial agreements, do not hesitate to reach out to our firm on our main office line or even on Facebook and let us know that you need some help or have some questions. And we're happy to help you and guide you along the way in getting a prenuptial agreement done to protect you.